then is it
Jewish
normal just to
ones.
start on time because people don't want people to look in? Yeah, yeah, we don't want people to look.
We'll start. out so you can make an announcement?
Sure. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to wait another couple minutes for some more people to join us, but I just wanted to say Shalom, good morning, and for the people watching on YouTube, you are watching the correct stream. It's just going to be another couple minutes. How's everyone doing this morning?
I'm good.
Baruch Hashem. We are here in our house of worship together. We at Ner Shalom have gotten to do a lot of that this last 10 days, but previously it feels like we're making up for lost time. You know, we haven't done it for a year and a half, and so we're so excited and happy to welcome in all you guests. Thank you so much for joining, and we're so excited for Neve. This has been a year.
Almost.
Almost.
Yeah, crazy year.
A crazy year.
Crazy ending to a crazy year. I've never had this group of people all in the same place. It's very weird. So many different universes are colliding, but it's a great weird. It's very exciting. And we have Liam, my brother, coming in from China up there. So hi, Liam.
Hi, Liam. What time is it in China right now?
It's night. They're like 12 hours ahead. So yeah.
Okay.
And there may be someone else coming in. Hi, Grandpa. Grandpa's in Florida. It's good to see him.
So those watching on YouTube, drop a message in the chat for Neve to look at later. And maybe those seated, I know we're keeping our physical distance, but turn to someone you don't know yet and give a wave. Say Shabbat Shalom. There you go. Great.
Feels good. For many of you, this is your first service of this kind, so I'm very excited to share it.
So if you're new to a Jewish service, our books go right to left. Most of our prayers, that's Shabbat, whatever. Most of our prayers have the more or less direct English translation right below the Hebrew. The transliteration, so you can follow along the sounds that we're making in English letters, are right across from the Hebrew. And then on the opposite side of any page is a sort of poetic interpretation of the same prayer. So if we're doing a lot of Hebrew and you're not following along and your mind starts to wander, that's a good place to wander over to, because there's some really beautiful alternative readings that'll get you sort of to the same place spiritually there. All right.
I think we're ready.
We begin with Hine Matov on page 188. How good and how pleasant it is when siblings gather together to pray. Hine Matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim Shevet achim gam yachad. One more note of welcome as we begin our service is that you may take pictures, especially when the Torah comes out. It's pretty beautiful. Neve's going to look really cool with the pointer and everything. But please make sure that your phones are on airplane mode so that if you're using them for pictures, they're still not going to make any noise. And no flash, please. It's distracting.
All right, page 185. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. All right. Now I would like to welcome up my friend Cole to read on page 193.
May the one whose spirit is with us in every righteous deed be with all who work for the good of humanity and bear the burdens of others, and who give bread to the hungry, who clothe the naked, and take the friendless into their homes. May the work of their hands endure, and may the seed they sow bring abundant harvest.
On page 196, we awaken our souls to breathe praise. Elohai neshama shanatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shanatata bi Tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Baruch ata Adonai, asher biyado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar ish.
I'd like to welcome up my stepfather, Steve, to read on page 197.
Matter is never destroyed, only transformed. So too can the soul evolve, higher and higher from instinct to inspiration, haughtiness to holiness, selfishness to service, from individualism to union, to join with the soul of souls, the infinite one. As the soul is magnified and sanctified, so is the infinite one exalted.
Baruch atah Adonai asher b'yado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar ish. I would like to welcome up my brother to read on page 197. 199.
I can stay the tears of others if I can see myself as diminished of their sorrows. I can hasten time when everyone will be able to rejoice in freedom. And if I can see myself as the companion of those fighting against oppression, I can honor the struggle of people everywhere to gain dignity and deliverance from bondage. When I look at myself in the mirror, who will I see?
And now I would like to welcome up my mother to read on page 203.
I am a Jew because the faith of Israel demands no abdication of my mind. I am a Jew because the faith of Israel requires all the devotion of my heart. I am a Jew because in every place where suffering weeps, the Jew weeps. I am a Jew because at every time when despair cries out, the Jew hopes. I am a Jew because the word of Israel is the oldest and the newest. I am a Jew because Israel's promise is the universal promise. I am a Jew because for Israel, the world is not completed. We are completing it. I am a Jew because for Israel, humanity is not created. We are creating it. I am a Jew because Israel places humanity and its unity above the nations and above Israel itself. I am a Jew because above humanity, image of the divine unity, Israel places the unity, which is divine.
My talisman. You have to put it on. Thank you. All right. Here's the scroll. All right. Page 190. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chitatef batzitzit. And page 224. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah ve'alma divrach yutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael bagala uv'izman kariv v'yimeru amen. V'hishmei Rabba mevarach la'olam olmei olmaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitroman v'yitnasei V'tadar, v'tale, v'talal, Shmei dekudasha brichu, Le'ela milkor bichata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran b'alma, V'meru. Amen. Page 226.
Please rise for the call to worship. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. Page 228. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid, ma'aseh v'reishit marabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita malach ha'aretz kinyanecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al mo'orei or she'asita, yifa'arucha sela or chadash al tzion ta'ir, v'nizkeh hulanu meherei la'oro, baruch atah Adonai yotzer hamorot. Amen.
Page 233.
On pages 232 and 233, we have the Shema, followed by the Ve'ahavta. These words come from the Torah, and they are traditionally said as one prayer. There's an old Jewish joke that a new rabbi comes to a synagogue, and when she asks everybody to rise for the Shema, they argue. Half the congregation argues. And when she doesn't, the other half argues. So she tries the old Reform version of you rise for the Shema, but sit again for the Ve'ahavta. And a third faction pops up and argues about that. So she goes to the old rabbi and says, Rabbi, I don't know what to do. When I ask them to rise, they argue. And the old rabbi says, well, that's not our custom. And she says, well, when I don't tell them to rise, they argue. Well, that's not our custom either. Well, then what's your custom? They're always arguing. That is our custom. So that's Judaism in a nutshell. So I invite you to prepare yourself as you feel suited for these words of Torah on pages 232 to 234. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We continue on page 240. מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך שפתיים יחד כולם, הודו והמלכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך בעלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדחי נאומך, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. We come now to the central portion of any prayer service. The Amidah begins on page 242 and continues over the next few pages. If you are able, please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Hayim Bechesed, Mechayeh Hakol Berachamim Rabim. Somech noflim verofeh cholim, omatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, omidam melach, melech mimi לחיי ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחייך הכל.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, לקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמן לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גדלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You may be seated.
We continue on page 250. Veshamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beni uvein b'nei Israel oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Israel et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
All right, I'd like to welcome up my mother to read on page 252.
Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 255. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer to life, to peace, and to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness, restrain our thirst for excess, and cleanse our hearts to serve life well. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer in life, in peace, and in joy. Baruch atah Adonai she'otcha levadcha b'yira na'avod.
Page 258. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha. Yai, rai, 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 rai. Yai, rai, 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 rai. Yai, rai, 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 rai. Yai, rai, rai, yai, rai, rai, rai. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. We take a moment now for silent prayer. You might use the words on pages 260 and 261, or the meditations of your own heart. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi, imrefi, vehegyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, v'goali, v'goali. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and redeemer. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for. The Torah service begins on page 262, and I'd like to invite Avniv's immediate family to join us on the bima. Okay. En kamocha v'Elohim Adonai ve'en k'ma'asecha. Please rise. Malechutecha, malechut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udevar Adonai mi Yerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kdushato. We pass down this Torah from generation to generation as a physical symbol embodied of the way that our religion, our faith, our customs, our culture is passed down from generation to generation. I don't know if I've ever seen a mom more excited to take the Torah and pass it.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol, Adonenu, Kadosh, Shmo.
Now, Niv will parade the Torah out to you. Please touch it with your book or your tallis fringes. It is customary sometimes, even if you don't have a book, to touch it with your hands and then kiss your hand or your book. But because of COVID, please don't do that part. Just a little do a tap and bring it to you. Okay? Here we go. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod kicho b'shamayim uvaretz kicho b'shamayim uvaretz Lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'hamitnaseh Lechol lerosh, Ramemu, Ramemu, Adonai Eloheinu, Vehishtachavu, Vehishtachavu, Lehar Kodsho, Lehar Kodsho, Ramemu, Ramemu, Adonai Eloheinu, Vehishtachavu, Vehishtachavu lehar kodsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. What? Yeah. Dress it. Undress it. I'm gonna do it. Undress. Okay. You may be seated. Our Torah reading today comes from Deuteronomy chapter 32, and our blessings can be found on page 368 of our prayer book.
All right, I have some guests joining me. First, I would like to call up my cousin Joe for the first Aliyah.
Ya'amod Yosef ben Chaim.
Thank you.
Baruch et Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ha'azinu hashamayim ve'adabera v'tishma ha'aretz imrei fi ya'arov kamatar likfi tizal katal imrati kisiri male deshe v'chirvivi male esev ki shem Adonai ekra havu godel Eloheinu Hatzur tamim ba'olo ki chal derachav mishpat el amuna ve'en avel tzadik ve'yashar hu shichet lo banav mumam dorike shuvtal tol Hal Adonai tigmalu zot, am naval velo chacham, halohu avicha kanecha, hu ascha vechonanecha, zechor yemot olam, binu shenot dor vador, she'al avecha ve'akdecha, zekenecha vayomru lach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natah b'tuchenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Okay. Next, I would like to call up my cousin Rick for the second Aliyah.
Ya'amod Ruven ben Chaim.
Baruch Adonai HaMvorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Bechanchel elyon goyim behavrido b'nei Adam, yatsev gevulot amim lemispar b'nei Israel, ki chelek Adonai amo, Yaakov chevel nachalato, yimsa'ehu be'eretz midbar, uvtohu yelel yeshimon, Yesovevenhu yivonanehu, yitzrenhu ki ishon eno, Ken nesher yair kino, al gozalav yirachef, yifroz kenafav yikachesu, yiasehu al evrato, Adonai bedad yanchenu, ve'enimo el nechar, yarkivehu al bamate aretz, vayochal tenuvot sadai, vayinikehu devash misela, veshemen mechal mishtzur, Chemat bakar v'chalev tzon, im chalev karim ve'elim v'nei vashan v'atutim, im chalev kilyot chita v'dameinav tishtechamer.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natah b'tuchenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And for the third Aliyah, we call upon Niv to do her own blessing. Ta'amod Chava bat Livia.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMvorach.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayishman Yeshurun vayivat shamanta avita kasita, vayito sheloha asahu, vaynobel tzur yeshuato, yach isuhu bezarim, vetoevot yach isuhu, yizbehu lashedim lo Eloha, Elohim lo yid'aum, chadashim mikarov ba'u, lo se'arum avotechem, Tzur yiladcha teshi, v'tishkach el mecholalecha, vayar Adonai vayim'atz mika'as banav uvnotav, vayomer astira fanai mehem, ere ma'acharitam, ki dor tapuchot hemar, banim lo emun bam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And we say together, Yasher Koach
Yasher Koach.
which means good job.
Thanks, guys.
Now we turn while our Torah is open to do a prayer for healing over it. The Misha Berach is on page 370. My list is on this side. Sorry, Neve.
Can I add someone really quick?
We are praying for the health of Mary Kennedy, Rosalind Cantu, Mike Haug, Lori Perry, Nick Joliot, Ariel Batsluva, Rhoda Wessler, Skip, Kathy, and Jeffrey Brace, Rhonda Butler, Ricky Grant, Shoshana Bat Abraham, Minna and Ira Dornfeld, Juliette Origi, Leslie White, Ann Cohen, Charlotte Birch, Anita Ash, Joseph Matter, Daryl Swan, Doris Hudson Trujillo, Susan Smith, Mary Lou Manzelli, Kevin Kossoff, Devin Kennedy, Herb Leventhal, Kai Bean, Elaine Skolnick, Marilyn Frito, and Anna Paris. If anyone else has a name they'd like to add, please share it now. And those watching on YouTube can just drop it in the chat, and the Holy One reads everything you do online.
All right.
We hold in our thoughts all those in need of healing of mind, body, and spirit. Page 371. Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I'd like to call up my brother Aiden for the lifting of the Torah. Be on page 370.
Please rise if you are able to honor the Torah. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. Torah, 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 tzivu lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tzivu lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tzivu lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tzivu lanu Moshe. You may be seated.
Please join me on page 372. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzav v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Okay, now we're going to read the Haftarah, which you don't have, so you're good where you are. All right. Okay, so my Haftarah reading is from 2 Samuel, chapter 22, verses 1 through 7. When the Eternal had saved him from the grasp of his enemies, and especially from the grasp of King Saul, David sang this song to the Eternal. He sang, "The Eternal is my rock, my fortress, my refuge. God is my rock where I seek shelter, my shield, the source of my salvation. My deliverer, you save me from violence. Derided, I cry out to God, and I am saved from my foes. The waves of death surrounded me. Destruction's floods frightened me. The bonds of Sheol closed in on me. Death's net entrapped me. In my torment, I called to the Eternal. I called to my God. In your temple, you heard me. My scream was in your ears. The earth trembled and shuddered. The sky's foundations shook. Your wrath made them shudder. Smoke poured from your nostrils, a devouring fire from your mouth. Blazing coals flamed forth from you. You spread out the sky and came down with a thick cloud beneath your feet. You saddled a cherub and flew. You swooped on your wings of the wind. You tented yourself around with darkness, with rain clouds your pavilion. Glowing coals flared forth from your brilliance. The Eternal thundered from heaven. The voice of the Most High made itself heard. You launched arrows and scattered them. Your lightning confounded them. The sea's channels could be seen. Earth's foundations were revealed. By your great roar, Eternal One, by the blast of your nostrils, you reached down from above and took me, pulling me out of the deep waters. You saved me from my powerful foe, from enemies too strong for me. They advanced on me in my time of calamity, but the Eternal was my support. You brought me out from trouble to the wide open space. Because you cherished me, you rescued me. You treated me as I deserved. You rewarded me for my innocence. I have kept the ways of the Eternal. I have not turned wickedly from my God. Your rules of justice are before me. I have not turned away from your laws. I have been blameless toward you. I have kept guard against offense, and you treated me as I deserved, according to my purity in your sight. You show yourself faithful to the faithful. With the truly upright, you show yourself upright. To the pure, you are pure, and with the crooked, you are cunning. You give victory to the humble, and you look at the proud to humble them. Eternal One, you are my lamp. Eternal One, you make my darkness light, and with you I can rush a barrier. With my God, I can leap over the wall. God, your way is perfect. Eternal One, your word is clear. You are a shield to all who look to you for shelter. Who is God beside the Eternal? Who is a rock other than our God? The God who is my mighty shelter, who maps out for me a noble path, who has made my legs like a deer's, who makes me stand on the heights, who trains my hands for battle, my arms to bend a bow of bronze. You have bestowed on me your triumphant shield. Your response to me enlarges my strength. You lengthen my stride, and my ankles do not waver. I chase my foes and destroy them. I do not turn back till they are no more. I destroy them. I shatter them. They cannot get up. They lie at my feet. You have girded me with strength for battle and laid low my foes beneath me. You make my enemies bare their necks. I rid myself of those who hate me. They cry for help, but there is none. They cry to the Eternal, but get no answer. Then I pound them like the dust of the earth. Like mud in the streets, I trample and pulverize them. You have saved me from strife with peoples. You have preserved me to be the leader of nations, so that a people I never knew now serves me. Foreigners shall cringe before me. Obey me as soon as they hear me. Foreigners fade away. They come quaking from their strongholds. The Eternal lives. Praised be my rock. God is exalted, the rock of my salvation, the God who gives me revenge, who makes people subject to me, who frees me from my foes, who raises me above my enemies, who rescues me from the violent. So I thank you, Eternal One, among the nations, and sing your praises to your name. You are a tower of victory to your king. You show love for your anointed, to David and his descendants forever. Okay. We're still on page 372. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el hane'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'medaber umkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah, ve'al haneveim ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, Likdusha v'limenucha, lechavod ultifaret, al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, umevarchim otach, yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai, tamid leolam va'ed, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat.
We turn now to page 374 to return the Torah to the ark. Please rise if you are able. Yahalelu et Shem Adonai, ki niskach Shemo levado, hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo, tehila lechol chasidav, livnei Yisrael am kirovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, etz chaim hi, lemachazikim ba, v'tomcheha, meushar deracheha, darchenom, v'chol netivoteha, shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, chadesh yameinu kekedem. You may be seated.
This week's Parsha, Ha'azinu, is set at the very end of Moses' life. It is a song he sang to the Israelites just before they had to enter the land of Israel without him. In it, he gives warning to those who have not been faithful to God and asks them to remember the times God was good to their ancestors despite their misdeeds. There is a special stress on remembering what has happened in our history as a people and on our duty to act well because of it. Remembering the story of our ancestors is especially important for us as Jews. As countless groups face oppression today, and knowing what our people have endured throughout history, it is our special duty to stand for what is right and help bring forth justice in whatever ways we can. Ha'azinu reminds us not to let ourselves be drawn away from the right path by alien things. I think these alien things come in many forms: senseless division, religious oppression, prejudice, bigotry, and greed. These things are alien to our potential as a race, to the ideal of humanity. Every time we take action to squash them, we take a step toward healing what Moses called this crooked, perverse generation. However, this is not the only message in Ha'azinu and its corresponding Haftarah, and some of the rest I have struggled with. Together, they form the notion that bad things happen to bad people, and good things happen to good people. In my life and in history, I can't say that I have always found this to be true. I can't see how I am more worthy of the safe, happy, and healthy life I live than the innocent children losing their homes in Afghanistan, or those killed in the earthquake in Haiti, or the Uyghur Muslims in China who wanted nothing more than to practice their religion in peace. Good people suffer, and terrible people seem to thrive every day. I'm not sure of the answer for this problem, and it's something I think I'll spend the rest of my life wondering about. Maybe the Torah can only help those who listen, and maybe that's part of why we Jews have a special duty to bring good into the world. Maybe there will always be evil, and all we can do is keep allowing Torah to guide us in our fight to minimize it. Finding my identity as a Jew has been a major part of my journey this past year. I first decided that I wanted to have a bat mitzvah because I didn't feel Jewish enough. And I thought this was something that would let me affirm to myself that I wasn't a phony. I do feel less like a phony now, thankfully, but it's not for the reasons I thought I would. I came into this knowing very little. I didn't know any Hebrew, any blessings, any prayers, any Torah, or even many holidays. But I think if someone had just sat me down and taught me the alphabet and told me what food we ate at which seders and how to chant each line of my Torah portion, it would not have brought me nearly as close as where I am today. For me, the most enriching part of my learning, and what has made Rabbi Liz's teaching so wonderful, was the cultural aspect. I have a new sense of what makes the Jewish people, our philosophies, our moral values, and of course, our history. I feel Jewish enough because no matter what I face, I will always face it with the values that have been instilled in me. I feel Jewish enough because I stand here today chanting the same words as some bar mitzvah 1,000 years ago. I feel Jewish enough because I remember the trials of my ancestors. We are connected to our forebears in everything we do, good and bad. That makes me want to do good. For me, for us, and for those who begot us. Thank you all so much for coming. Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to welcome up my mother. I haven't heard this speech yet. I would hope so. Oh, sorry.
Good morning, and thank you all for coming. Steve and I are profoundly grateful for the presence during the ongoing pandemic of my cousins Joe, Rick, and Lori, my Foreign Service friends, Ambassador James and Mrs. Sally Gadsden, my Fairfax County 911 friend and mentor, Jeff Davidson, and my family's friends from Congregation Ner Shalom and from Fauquier County. My love also goes out, hopefully, to my father, Leon Skolnick in Florida, my son, Liam Kierans in Beijing, my sister-in-law, Nancy Booker in Alabama, Nancy's son, Devin, and his wife, Kelly, in Cambridge, and our other wonderful friends and family joining us via live stream. The next remarks come with a trigger warning with respect to child mortality. Thank you for bearing with me. Those of you who have known me a long time know that I had a younger brother, Joshua William Skolnick, a blessed memory, who sustained severe brain damage when he was deprived of oxygen in the course of his birth. Josh's 8-year life and death of pneumonia in a state institution for the severely disabled were the defining events of my childhood. Maybe they were even the defining events of my adulthood. My missing brother is always with me, in my heart, since he can't be in the room. I'm sharing this because it gives context for Neve's story and my sense of her wondrousness. My pregnancy with Neve was high risk. For some reason, there was an excess of amniotic fluid. This is often associated with gestational diabetes but in our case was idiopathic. In any case, it was dangerous, so my obstetrician induced labor as soon as I reached Neve's due date. The physics of the large pool in which she was swimming were not in her favor. She ended up with the umbilical cord wrapped twice around her neck, and this deprived her of oxygen. Concerned about her neurologic signs, the medical staff rushed her to neonatal intensive care and kept her there in an incubator for 3 days.
It was so scary.
I was terrified. The story has a happy ending, at least up to today, thank God. You see Neve here in fine fettle. There's even a punchline. Neve proved to be a very intense infant and toddler. She craved constant entertainment. I confided in my mother that I was overwhelmed by how demanding she was of attention and stimulation. My mother, now of blessed memory, quipped that Neve had probably received excessive oxygen in the incubator. I confess I found this nonsense oddly comforting. My daughter lives a heightened form of existence. Neve prepared for today's ceremony in just 14 months. Rabbi Liz met with us almost every week. I think we canceled only on January 6th and when Neve went to France for a writer's retreat this summer. Rabbi Liz modeled commitment and consistency, and Neve followed through. Neve has been interested in Holocaust literature for several years, reading multiple memoirs and playing Edith in her school's production of the Diary of Anne Frank. But this past year, she expanded her Jewish reading to philosophical and literary texts. Rabbi Liz proved an able and joyful guide, and I shall greatly miss our colloquies. Thank you, Rabbi, for your altruistic leadership in this, as in all things. So what will this milestone mean for Neve? What role will Judaism play in her life? I actually wrote her precious life. Although I can't fully imagine, I trust she'll have happy memories of the love you all are showing by being here today, in person and virtually. That she'll catch all sorts of biblical allusions in everyday life that fly right by me. And that she'll make ever more sophisticated moral arguments for the human rights protections that have always been close to her heart. I often tell my beloved Liam, Aiden, and Neve that I am here to be their mother, not their friend. But I first took Neve to hang out with me in a coffee shop when she was just 9 days old, back when she still had a big bruise on her head from the contraption they used to drag her out of me. And now with her bat mitzvah, she joins my marvelous sons as a full-fledged adult. I hope always to be her friend, as well as her mother. And I invite you all to be her friends as well. She is smart, she is funny, she is caring, she is lively, she has an excellent singing voice, and now we have proof that she is deep as well. Neve Mazel Tov. I love you and hope your Jewishness and the beauty of Torah will always enrich your miraculous life.
Okay. All right. Oh no.
I think this is the first time I've seen a bat mitzvah cry on the bima, in a good way.
Okay.
It has been a really incredible year working with you, getting to know you and your family. All the things your mom said. You are so smart, so talented, so funny. You're an inspirational reader. I hope to keep up with the number of books you read and write someday in my life. And I hope, although this is the end of our weekly study, it's not the end of regular check-ins. Any Jewish question that comes up on TikTok, you need to pass on to me. Please Don't be a stranger. May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds to come. May you trust in generations past and yet to be. May your heart be filled with intuition, and your words be rich in understanding. May songs of praise be ever on your tongue, and your vision clarify a straight path before you. May your eyes shine with the light of Torah, and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom, and your fulfillment be in righteousness, even as you yearn to hear the words of the ancient Holy One. Baruch atah Adonai, shnatan li et hazchut ve'et hakavod latet lach Torah. Blessed is Adonai our God, who gives me the honor and privilege of entrusting you with our Torah. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God lift God's presence toward you and give you peace. Amen.
Okay. Page 586.
Please rise.
Aleni l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, vegor alenu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Let's do my list again. We turn our thoughts now to those who are no longer with us in body, but remain with us in spirit. This week marks the yahrzeit and anniversary of death for Jacob Dayton, Ralph Bass, Carol Herrick, Lillian Rosen, Archie Cohen, Toby Bernstein, Wilk Breeding, and Jessica Hankin. And we are still within a year of mourning for Patricia Michaels, Joe Davis, Kathleen Schindler, Jamie Bellitz, Neil Savage, Ann O'Neill, Bruce Schechter, Bernard Strassner, Ruth Sherman, Louis Aaron Honig, Jean Sullivan, Carolyn Rubel Magrum, David Nemero, Tom Lombard, Marion Finkel, Steve McGrew, Herbert Levy, Lynn Steffen, Gary Sullivan, Debbie Taylor Wright, and Mark Anderson. We say Kaddish for those who have died in the past year and those who have died at this time of year in years past. And on Simchas, I like to open up as well for people to share the names of those who might not be marking a yahrzeit this week, might be gone more than a year, but whose presence is felt in this family in this moment, like grandparents and uncles of blessed memory. So if anyone else would like to add names, please do so.
Herman Skolnick, Robert Broder.
Marjorie Selden,
The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Mourners and those who wish to join them may rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divrach hiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayet kol Beit Yisrael v'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal shmei dekudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. You may be seated. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru, Amen. Do you want to make any announcements about
Lunch?
the reception or what happens next, or does everybody know where they're going?
Yeah, so it was in the invitation, but I just want to prepare you all for the fact that the restaurant is quite far from here, so it takes you about 45 minutes to get there. But don't worry, you haven't done anything wrong. You basically just have to get back out from 66, go to exit 28, turn right, go to our main street in our little town Marshall, turn left onto it, and the restaurant will be close by. So it's going to take us a while to get there. Hopefully you'll work out an appetite. We have a nice lunch ready for us. Celebrate with. You have my number and Steve's number. If any problems come up, if you do get lost or anything, we can help. Any questions?
Great.
Yes. Oh, yes. You can put your prayer books back on the table there. Thank you. And what else am I forgetting?
You're also welcome to put the kippahs back where you found them or take them home with you. We have a lot. And if you are really attached to the one that matches your outfit, please, by all means. Did you? Oh, sorry, I forgot to call Debbie up for a board or a synagogue presentation. Oh, no.
These are for you.
Oh, thank you.
One is from Sisterhood and one is from Congregation. This is a custom that we've done for years to welcome our B'nai Mitzvah into the adult life of our community. You chose the end of the Torah to start the beginning of your adult life with us, we hope. I knew you had a good voice, but I didn't know that you, I mean, it was beautiful.
Thank you.
And you read the Torah like you've been reading Hebrew for years and years and years. I'm sure that your self-assurance will help you reach heights of ethics and morals that we hope Judaism will lead you to do wonderful things in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for today and for the rest of your life.
Thank you so much.
Shabbat Shalom. Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov. Yehelanu, 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 Olecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Olecho Yisrael. Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov. Yehelanu.
Thank you all. You're free.
Because the restaurant is far away, I expect we'll all arrive kind of at different times. And we as your hosts might not arrive first, but we don't want you not to be comfortable when we're not there yet. There are special drinks that I can speak and tell you about that we have ordered for the occasion, so you can feel free to order your drinks as soon as you get there, so you can start enjoying yourself fully and see and work on the drinks.
Yeah, I created a drink called the Deep 17. It's a blue drink, also French 75. But blue is the exterior color, so you have a blue drink and so on. Feel free to go off, order that. They'll be available. You may get there before